Well, hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Ash, and in this video we will be talking about the crew mess. If you're thinking about working for Disney Cruise Line, currently in the hiring process for Cruise Line, or just want to know a little bit more about crew life, then this video is for you. In this bite-sized video, I'll be talking about the crew mess, the food, and give you a bit more insight into crew life on board Disney Cruise Line. So the crew mess, the 5-star Michelin restaurant exclusive for crew, does not exist. It is just a basic cafeteria for your breakfast, lunch and dinner. It has opening and closing times. It isn't 24 hours where you can just turn up and eat whenever you want. There are set times. So if you miss breakfast, you won't eat till lunch. If you miss lunch, you won't eat till dinner, and so on. There is a late night snack option, which I'll talk about later on, but that is kind of in between dinner and breakfast. So the mess is just like kind of a cafeteria, any kind of cafeteria you've been into. You'll go in, you'll wash your hands. You have to wash your hands when you go in. You have to wash your hands when you come out. It's very strict that you do that for the crew. So you go in, you wash your hands, you grab your knives and forks, you grab your tray, and you go around kind of like a cafeteria buffet style line. You can help yourself. You serve your own food onto your plate, unless there's some kind of world health crisis, then of course you'll get served your food onto your plate for you. But if there isn't a world health crisis, normally you'll just go around and you'll serve yourself. Once you've got your food, you can go and get your drinks. There's a machine there, normally for juice and water. I think there's soda and stuff like that as well. And you just grab that and then you go sit down. It's just a big dining hall. You go and find somewhere to sit. You can sit anywhere you want. Sometimes if you're really, really busy, you'll find yourself sitting with people you don't know. They'll just come and sit at your table because they just need space to sit down. You cannot take your food, your dinner, lunch or breakfast out of the crew mess. That is not allowed. You are allowed to take one piece of fruit per person for your cabin, but you can't take your omelette, if you're lucky to get an omelette. I don't know, if you can't take your rice outside of the cafeteria, outside of the crew mess to your cabin. That's not allowed. So when you first go to the crew mess, it can be quite an overwhelming experience. Everything you do for the first time working for a cruise ship is completely overwhelming experience. But the crew mess is just like people don't have long for breaks, so people can be really rushed. It can be quick, and it's just it can be quite an overwhelming place. But when you kind of get used to it, you go, this is fine. This is fine. The food's fine. There's a selection of food. I can get with this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Well, the thing is, after the first couple of weeks, the crew mess gets a lot harder to enjoy. Food will pretty much stay the same for your whole contract. There might be some change and variations of menus, and there might be some special occasions where the crew mess does some type of special meal, but generally every night of the week will be the same as the week before and the week in front. We all know food can play a big part in happiness, especially for people working in a small closed environment on a ship. So you might find that after a while you can't find anything you want to eat, and you end up on the old Fruit Loop diet. That's basically where you eat Fruit Loops for every meal of the day until you get bored of that. There is a range of selection in the crew mess, right? There isn't just one food. There is a range, but you have to remember there is a global community on the ship. So you might come across foods that you've never heard of before. You might come across foods that you don't like, with flavours that you don't know. And so sometimes your choice can get limited because of that. You have to remember, majority of the crew come from all over the world. They don't just come from the USA. In fact, the USA is a very small minority on a cruise ship. So some people think, the crew food will just be like American food. It's not. It is very global. So if you like rice and you like curries and you like that type of stuff, that kind of food, you'll enjoy it. If you don't like that kind of stuff, then you might struggle to try and find stuff that you do like. If you are someone that doesn't like spicy food, or lots of flavours that you've never had before, you just don't like them, there is a section called lighter fare, and it's basically chicken and vegetables and things like that is cooked without any seasoning, which allows you to kind of season it yourself and mix it and mix and match. That is a good section to take food from to create things that you want to eat. You'll find that when you work on the cruise ship, you will create your own meals. You might even look at someone else's table on the crew mess and go, where did they get that from? I didn't see that. It's because they actually made it up themselves. They got a load of food and they just mixed and matched, and there's a microwave in there as well, there's hot water, so there is possibilities for you to create your own stuff. Sometimes I used to like to get the light fare chicken and mix it around with a salad and things like that, or put it in wraps, and if there are wraps. People often always as well make grilled cheese by you toast the bread very lightly, then you put the cheese in, then you wrap it up in plastic wrap, put that in the microwave for for a little time, and then you have kind of a grilled cheese. It's not the best grilled cheese you're ever going to have in your life, but it is a lunch, and it does work for a lunch. And you'll find a lot of people, especially in youth activities, actually will pull that trick out of making themselves a grilled cheese sandwich, especially if you get tomato soup as well. So you've got that. There are lots of soups and salads and pastas that go along with it. I can't remember if I just said that. So there are options there. If you are vegetarian or vegan, sometimes your options can be even more limited. So you will be scheduled for your meal times while you're working, obviously. So sometimes you might get, say, 30-minute dinner break or a 30-minute lunch break. Normally a 30-minute dinner break, and that can be quite challenging because you have to get from where you're working down to the crew mess. Sometimes it could be a big line. You have to line up, get your food, sit down, eat, and then get back to work. And in 30 minutes, that can be quite a challenge because there's not a lot of time. My 100% recommendation is to get multivitamins. I always take multivitamins with me on the ship, and that's just to make sure, I get those multivitamins. Now, if you're an officer on the ship, in a supervisor, assistant manager, manager position, you'll find that actually your mess experience is a little bit nicer. You'll be eating off gold plates with gold knives and fork, and someone will come around and tuck a napkin in you, or so I've heard. If you're an officer, your crew mess experience will be probably better. I mentioned there was a late night. Now, late night is around 11 p.m. At night, and it's basically kind of the food that is left over or extra from the guest restaurant. So, as you can imagine, this can be quite popular. Every day it's different. You don't know what's going to be there, so people line up pretty early to get that steak and that sushi. Now, don't be that greedy crew member who's near the front of the line and ends up putting 5-6 steaks on and taking everything, because that happens quite a lot. Some crew members who are right at the front of the line decide to take everything, so people at the middle, at the back, don't get anything. Now, if you don't get any of that fancy food, or you don't want any of that kind of fancy food, there is another side where there's always late night pizza and hot dogs and a few other things as well. So some people just go for that. So if you are feeling a little bit hungry, you finish work, and you want to get a bit of pizza with people, you can go and do that. That's not a problem. And then if you're working night shifts, there are night shift meals during the night that are just for the people that work in night shift. So you'll have meal schedules and meal times just for you. My advice is that you always have some type of food in your cabin, maybe some noodles or a cup of soup, which you are allowed in your cabin. There are strict rules on what you can and cannot have in your cabin regarding food. So anything that's perishable, bread, anything that can go mouldy or can go off, you cannot have. You cannot have dairy as well, so you cannot have milk. You can have soy milk, which is what I have all the time. I like to keep a cup and some tea and some sugar and stuff in my cabin so I can make my own tea and have little tea times for myself, which makes my life a lot easier. So I do recommend, if you can bring some snacks from home, something that you find a comfort food, have that as well. Bring that with you, or get someone to send that to you, because that will make a big difference to you. On some ships there are hot water taps in the crew kind of cabin areas, which means if you've got noodles, you can have a cup of noodles or a cup of soups, which I used to do, because sometimes you might not feel like going to the crew mess. If you've got a long break, you want to take a nap, that you can just have, I used to have noodles and a packet of crisps and some juice in my cabin, and that was enough for me. You might find that you lose weight working on the cruise ship. I know I did. Every single contract I always lost weight. So for some of you might be going, yes, I love that, I can't wait to work on the cruise ship. Others might be thinking, well, I don't really want to lose any weight. So just kind of prepare yourself for that. You can lose weight from a mixture of things, from the crew food, but also from the fact that you're working 10, 11, 12 hours a day. That really affects your weight because you're always moving around. So just make sure, again, if you want to bring something that helps you there, multivitamins or anything like that, do so. Now, overall, the food standard on the cruise ship for crew is good. Don't let me scare you and make you think that you're not going to eat anything and you're going to hate it. That's not going to be the case. Just you have to go into it knowing that you're not going to be eating guest standard food for every meal on the ship. For some reason, people like to think that cruise ship crew eat guest food. You can occasionally, but it's not what you're going to be eating every single day for your staple diet. So I just want to make sure that that's kind of clear. Now, the crew food obviously has to be food that caters for a huge range of people from all over the world. It has to be made quickly and it has to be made in big batches. So that's why the crew food is what it is, because it has to be cost effective, it has to be quickly made and mass produced. So that's basic cafeteria food. There are a lot of crew on the ship from all over the world. It's a big global community, so the food caters for as many people as possible. So you just have to kind of understand what that means for the food and for the crew mess. The crew mess is nothing to be scared of. You will survive. You will find food that you really like. There are meal times that I've really enjoyed on the ship, and I could eat all the time and every day. I didn't really have any issues myself other than just kind of getting bored of the food. I'm not saying any of the food is horrible. It's just the fact that it's repetitive. So you have to get that in your mind that you're going to be eating a lot of the same food again and again and again. Now, obviously, if you're lucky enough and you're on a ship that goes to nice destinations, nice ports, you'll be able to get off and go for lunch or dinner in places like that. So you'll be able to mix in a bit of shore leave into your crew mess lifestyle. So that is the crew mess. I think I've covered everything. Again, if you've got more questions, put them below or message me and I will try and answer as best I can. If you've got any more ideas for different topics or things you want to hear, then let me know and I can do that. So again, thank you for watching. I've been Ash, and until next time, goodbye.